Hello, and welcome to Unlicensed Therapy with me, Ari Mannis, your host. This week was a pretty good week. I worked on my new van, my 4350 high-top conversion van that I'm converting to a camper. I was on the King and the Sting podcast with Theo Vaughn and Brendan Schaub. I was in the Culture Corner. That is going to be released tomorrow, so check that out if you don't already listen to that podcast. And also, of course, today's podcast, my podcast, I had some pretty badass guests, Tom Arnold and Sasha Boggs. They just started a podcast called Two in the Bush. So if you like the episode, make sure to check out their podcast. A little disclaimer for today's episode. We get political. Tom has a passionate thought process about America and Donald Trump and all the issues. So if you don't like that sort of thing, you might not like the episode, but I think you will. I'd say give it a shot. This was the very first guest that my parents knew who he was. My mom had questions for Tom. I didn't ask any of them because they were invasive and personal, but it was cool that she had them. So that was exciting. I thank Tom and Sasha for coming in and doing the podcast. If you're not familiar with them for whatever reason, here is a clip.
But call me Big Wasabi. Don't make me send little sushi to your lobby. That's my assistant. We are not fucking. Just clarity to your chicken heads is still clucking. And no discussion. Single dad. Bottom still sucking. Can't masturbate without interruption. The kids have to eat something. There's 14 got me fucking. How many times can I clean the kitchen and the oven?
One in the hand is two in the bush. Sushi wasabi are here for the push. Push with the team and you get cooked. AGB poops like a piece don't look. King to the rook, you better be shook. Stuck to the code. History books. Suburban brother that can steal your toots. Just like a crook. One in the hand is two in the bush. Sushi wasabi are here for the push. Push with the team and you get cooked. AGB poops like a piece don't look. King to the rook, you better be shook. Stuck to the code. History books. Suburban brother that can steal your toots. Just like a crook.
It's Lil Sushi Mean in the quarantine. Bitch. Living Big Lebowski's dream. Tandem parking ain't no way to live. So got kicked out the crib. Now I'm one of his kids. It is what it is. Although I fuck with the gummy sack, still got IBS from that. I'm couple nails, that's word to Jack. I know how McQueen can second that. Run through Instagram and the whole world stops. Black Lives Matter, that's a fact. Really haven't seen Wasabi's movies like that. Bitch, you know I'm on the second verse, but it's always
one in the hand is two in the bush. Sushi wasabi are here for the push. Push with the team and you get cooked. AGB poops like a piece don't look. King to the rook, you better be shook. Stuck to the code. History books. Suburban brother that can steal your toots. Just like a crook.
Did you do the super bill?
What's a super bill?
This is a super bill.
I don't know what a super bill is.
I think it's something to do with insurance.
Okay, there's security questions. What's your favorite TV show? Is it The Roseanne Show?
Of course not. Try the Honeymooners.
Didn't work.
Try the Jackie Thomas Show.
I think it's The Roseanne Show.
It's definitely not the Roseanne Show.
Yep, it was The Roseanne Show.
That was a pretty good show.
Yeah, okay, next question. What's your wife's maiden name?
Which one?
One in the hand is two in the bush. Sushi wasabi are here for the push. Push with the team and you get cooked. AGB poops like a piece don't look. King to the rook, you better be shook. Stuck to the code. History books. Suburban brother that can steal your toots. Just like a crook. One in the hand is two in the bush. Sushi wasabi are here for the push. Push with the team and you get cooked. AGB poops like a piece don't look. King to the rook, you better be shook. Stuck to the code. History books. Suburban brother that can steal your toots. Just like a crook.
All right. That was the latest clip from Tom Arnold and Sasha Boggs. And now you can enjoy the episode.
I'm pretty sure that you have a way harder time getting through life than the average person, Ari. I don't know why anybody would listen to this. I know I won't.
Ari, your advice single-handedly broke up my marriage. You're an awful person.
You're 24 years old. Why would I listen to you? Why would you be giving therapy and advice to people who clearly need it? It doesn't make any sense, Ari. This is a horrible idea.
You're listening to
Unlicensed
Therapy with Ari Mannis.
Two in the bush.
Two in the bush. That's an expression of some sort, right?
It is.
What's that expression, man?
One in the hand is worth more than if you lead a horse to water. Something. I don't know.
What's that mean to you guys? What's the significance there with that title?
Tom hates it.
He's like, hey, I hate it, but fuck it, I'll use that as title anyway.
The idea was, I guess when we were really talking, because it's her idea, and I thought, well, I guess that's something. I guess it might make people smile because they're thinking of Bush.
Yeah, that's what I really wanted to put it. The first name was the Bulldog and the Bitch, which
that makes no sense like that. No, I wasn't kidding.
Sounds like
I just said it can't be. I can't. That sounds inappropriate.
Oh, you loved it.
I mean, I just want the bitch part I didn't like.
And, well, who's the bulldog and who's the bitch, though?
Well, it's just obviously you're the bitch.
You didn't like the bitch part, but you liked the bush part because it reminded you.
Well, no, it's gotta be subconscious. It's gotta be like in the back here. You know, if you're gonna, because Bush is funny when you think of Bush. It's got to be in the back of your mind. It can't be right on the head. Like,
got it.
I look like a bulldog, and you know, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be so obvious. You know, and everybody's like, well, it's a female dog is a bitch. Maybe that's it. No, but, you know, it's too on the head. And whereas
I see what you're
Bush.
saying. Yeah, it's got to be a little.
Everybody's
two
got
in the bush.
Bush.
You could say in front of a kid.
Right, two in the bush. And also, you don't just jump to two in the bush, the generous thumb up the ass. Because that's what, you know, I would think. That's what I would think. But people aren't like me always. It's me, my kids are living here. She moves in. That is, anything has to be authentic. The podcast is, we do that in the back house while this is going on. It has to be real. We have to, you know, I knew she had done a podcast. And she said that.
These days, you're not a comedian unless you have a podcast.
Well, I know, but I didn't even know how to. I knew she kind of knew how to do it. I go, why don't we do a podcast in the back there?
You're going through my Instagram.
I think it's a testament to your work ethic too, Tom, because you're a successful man. You've got, I imagine, you have plenty of money. You're not worried about that.
No, I don't. I absolutely don't. You know, I've been divorced 4 times. You know, you know, everybody's struggling in this. You know.
Listen, you could always be doing better, but I imagine if you wanted to, you don't need to work anymore.
Oh, no, I do.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
Sure,
Well, then
I do.
I'm wrong.
You know, and I enjoy working. I think it's a good thing to do. I think doing the podcast is fun.
Well, you've always, I don't know you, but you've always struck me just watching you on TV, interviews, everything you do. It seems like you really enjoy working. You constantly want to be working. You do all sorts of projects, whether they're good or bad, and I think that's just because you like doing stuff.
Well, I worked at the kill floor of a meat packing plant for 3 years.
Here we go.
To save money for college. And I grew up with I never got allowance. We don't do, our dad, you know, there's 7 kids in our family.
And this is in Iowa.
Yeah. So there wasn't like, oh, you're going to be a star. You're going to be, nobody, I would never have even thought you could get your way. Nobody paid for your college. Nobody, it's not because my dad was an asshole. It's because you just didn't do it. If you want to go to college, you better save your money and then go. And it's not because he didn't think I was smart or he's like, that's just how you have to do it. And
right,
I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to the University of Iowa because they had an open mic night at the student union. Because I wanted to be a stand-up comedian because I wanted to be on TV once. And I thought, well, people, if I'm a stand-up comedian on TV once, people in my hometown will be forced to like me.
Probably true.
Which is not, well,
back then.
But it's
Iowa.
not. They still
don't
many
like
of
you.
them, they still don't.
Turns out you had to open a diner for them
There's
to
a
like
lot
you.
of Trump lovers back there. But you know, I wanted my dad to laugh. That's the truth. One, you know, because he loved Bob Hope. And man, he was a single father. When he was 22, I was 4, my sister was 3, my brother was 1. And then he would work, and he worked at a factory that made industrial knives. And
I love knives.
These are big knives that
I keep knives under all the surfaces in my apartment. Under every surface, I have a knife Velcroed.
But what kind of knife?
Oh, all sorts of knives. It could be kitchen knives, pocket knives, throwing knives. I just
Did
love
you
knives.
throw up? Do you practice with those?
I cannot throw a knife very well.
Well, then
no.
you should practice.
I
Make
should.
it a thing.
You're right.
You should get good at it. You should know what kind of knife and get your knife motion down. If you're going to protect yourself, you know how to protect yourself.
That's right.
We,
Yeah, that's right. I'm just
where I'm
faking it right
from,
now.
we know how to freaking.
You can throw a knife?
You always got to look about where you are, and it's no offense to you guys, but you got in the back of your mind, you're like, what if the shit hit the fan and I have to kill these two guys? Just like.
Oh,
It's
I
not
thought
gonna
about
happen.
that the second you walked in. How can I kill Tom
Yeah,
Arnold?
Yeah. How would you do it?
Okay, take that cord, the
Yeah.
mic cord.
You'd be dead.
Unfortunately,
by
it's
the
a
time you got it, you'd be
$15
dead.
cord, but I would be willing to ruin it.
Yeah, but you by the time you got you'd be dead by that time that happened, and so your best bet would to bring one of those knives and just
You're right.
I'm gonna tell you this: the knife, the guy on the kill floor. That had the best job, the most important job. There's a lot of knives, by the way, to be paid with. A lot of very sharp knives. That's why you can't have a fist fight in there.
No.
Because people would
You
die.
don't bring a fist fight to a knife fight.
Well, let me tell you something. The sticker, that thin, long knife, because as the hog comes in, it gets hung up by his back hoof upside down. The sticker sticks him right here, and if I was here and I had that knife and I went to hug you, and I stabbed you in your carotid artery, or what?
It's over.
You wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
You start bleeding, and we'd hug, and then I'd look at you, and you'd go, something's up. And you'd look at your shirt and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm dying."
Here's what you don't know.
So,
Here's what you don't know about me. I was born with this natural intuition. I'd see it coming a mile away.
oh, that's cool. I
I-
believe in that. I
I-
believe in that. So what I'm saying is, you have to get along with people, and if you're going to fight, you got to do it behind the union hall. It's got to be organized. And I'm Jewish. I worked at a pork processing plant for 3 years. My grandpa worked there 50 years. And when you're from a small town and there's 4 Jews,
Is that against the religion to work in the pork industry?
no, it's not.
As long as
against-
you don't eat it.
It's how you survive. You got to. It's a reformed
I
Jew.
eat bacon, so I'm
I
not.
eat bacon every day.
Yeah, I'm not a religious Jew.
No, I'm not a
either.
religious Jew. But you know
I
what?
saw a video of you and your son eating bacon that he made.
We eat bacon. My
Yeah.
daughter, real bacon. You know what goes around, comes around, and is my philosophy of Judaism. And
What even
I
philosophy?
studied.
I didn't know that was a Jewish philosophy.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a stepson that when he was studying for his bar mitzvah back in the day, at the University Synagogue, Rabbi Alan Freely, I went up and refreshed myself because I'd moved to Los Angeles, Roseanne's son, and I said, I'm going to refresh, because in Iowa you learn some things. And at the end he said, hey, what is Judaism mean to you? And I said, what goes around comes around. He goes, that's it. And so
rabbi said
I
that's
would have
it.
said that day one, and then I would have had to refresh myself. But yeah, that's it.
That makes sense.
That was Boggs here asked me a lot of questions.
Are you Boggs?
Yeah, Sasha, about Judaism that, if you want to spend time with her, you may be able to ask them. But I answer them, or I research them. And I have very smart friends in Israel, etc., that are on the internet, on Twitter, that will answer a lot of questions.
Did you do Birthright, or was that after your time?
I did not. It's after...
You got to do it.
But have you been to Israel?
I have been to Israel.
Okay, you've been. So you
But
did your
here-
own Birthright.
Well, let me say something about Israel. And I got to say this. You got to go to Israel 3 times. There's 3 Israels.
I've only been once. Okay,
Well,
let's hear the other 2.
you go when you're a child with your parents. And I've been there a few times with, you do these USO tour shows and you go to Afghanistan or Iraq. Then you have to change your passport and discreetly go in as a different into Israel. That's and because when you also there's places you go when you don't. I have a Star of David tattoo, and there's places.
It's so Jewish and anti-Jewish all at the same time.
There's places you go, and then you can promote movies. And, okay, you go with it as a child. The parents said, "There's that." There, the birthright, whatever that experience. Then you go as a single person, And you have a lot of sex.
That's
So you
what
have
I
a lot of fun.
did.
Okay, yeah. That's it.
I had consensual
That's it.
makeout
That's it.
sessions. I actually didn't have any sex.
People
It was
don't
that-
realize how fun. Let's say you're doing what you did, or you're
Uh-huh.
promoting a movie, or you're. Let me see. It is the fun. I mean, I'm telling you, but it's better than Europe. Like people go, I'm gonna go to Europe. I'm gonna backpack. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna meet.
Well, you know what the cool thing about Israel? They have so much. You know how America gets made fun of for American pride? Israeli pride is worse than American pride.
Oh, yes.
They think they are the best at everything. So if you go to Israel and tell a girl, oh, in America, all the girls just are free about sex, they go, no, we're more free
That's
about
really
sex. But they are so proud about it. This is the best beach in the world. We're like, yeah, it's cool. It's a beach. No, this is the best one. Like everything they do
Well,
is the best, according to them.
I have a lot of Israelis in my life because my security guys and all this, and you can see that as she meets them and says anything. They're very intimidated if something is better. If she doesn't, they're like, no, we're. Can you feel
we're
that?
Israelis. Our karate is better than America.
Exactly.
We're tougher.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm sure you're tough, but you don't need to
You
say
can't
you're
even
the
mention
toughest.
something. They close their eyes and they like, no. What I have is the best. And I'm like,
but
okay,
then
Jesus
you
Christ.
can kind of manipulate them. I noticed I have these guys that are these ex-Mossad guys that legitimately, this one guy in particular, he's such a great, he's the head of this, he does.
Yeah, why do you need someone? You just said you had a security
Well,
team.
I think
Is
if
someone after you?
Well,
So far, you've talked about killing me and Marco. Your
Well, I just
Israeli
did that.
security.
Yeah.
Your Israeli
I
security
used to
team.
kill 6,000.
What's going on?
Well, I mean, if you have to, I don't. No, I think you generally once in a while I don't.
Is Trump after you? Blink
I wish.
twice.
Trump is a fucking coward. He threatens people. I'd love to. He did send the Secret Service to my house. I've known him 35 years. He's a coward. But he did.
When was the last time you talked to him?
Before probably 2012. I don't know. He called the house.
Now, did you obviously?
But he said this. Listen, I
yeah.
tweeted something about. He was up in Montana. This Greg Giante or some congressman, big guy though, had taken this little journalist, a small guy, and body slammed him, and assaulted him, and then he got in trouble, and then Trump was up there afterwards peacocking on stage like, hey man, I'd like to body slam somebody. And Trump is, he was on my sports show a lot, and I did go to the Playboy Mansion with him, and I always said, well, but I wasn't the creepy guy, but I was, because I was going to Playboy Mansion with my buddy to visit his new girlfriend, knowing his wife was there. So I was creepy, but I wasn't the creepiest of the two of us.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's
So, but he's up there peacock. By the way, Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame.
But that means you
gotta
liked him.
you should be able to wrestle.
But in this moment, when you were going to the Playboy Mansion and hanging out with him, that means you must have liked him at this point.
Well, I thought first of all, he just done the show, and he's like, would you go over there? Do you want to meet Karen McDougal? Who's
And you're like, sure.
I'm like, yeah, because he done the show.
Sounds very inviting.
You
Sounds
know.
nice. Seems like
Well,
you're
I mean,
bullying the guy.
if someone does your show, you're like, we appreciate it.
Right.
But I never, and I went to my wife and I at the time went to the Elton John pediatric AIDS Oscar thing with him and Melania. You can see pictures of that. And but I was never like, Roseanne and I filmed a HBO special in the late 80s at the Trump Castle, but I would never call him. I also would never do the fucking Celebrity Apprentice.
So you were friendly, you just weren't friends. Like when
Yeah.
you see each other, it was cool. He did your show. You went with him a few places, but you weren't like, "Hey, how are you?" Just
I
checking
rode with
in on
him and
you.
his what's his name over there, and then I kind of peeled off. I wasn't a big. I liked Hugh Hefner a lot, and I'd go watch movies there. But I didn't drink, and I didn't party with the Playmates. I never had sex with the Playmates.
What? Not
No,
even once?
No.
Damn.
He was always married.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But there was times I wasn't married. But I was at the relationship, and he was, he's an oddball. But he's fine doing that, doing whatever Donald Trump thinks. But when he started the birther stuff about Obama, that was a big problem for me. So
Yeah, so
That
just
was it.
politically is where you is where you really
Well,
dislike
being
the
so
guy.
racist about our, because Obama and I have a lot in common. Barack Obama is from, he spent a lot of time in Kansas. From his grandpa looks exactly like my grandpa. It's a fact. And if you're different,
Are you saying you're related?
well, let me tell you something, man. If you're different at all from a small farming community, like I didn't have a mom, and he is black, Barack Obama, I don't know if you know that, and he spent a lot of time in Kansas, so his grandpa, who looks just like my grandpa, probably had to get in a lot of fucking fights to defend him. And so when you hear his story, and I heard it, this Davis Guggenheim made this short doc for the 2008 convention, I was like, oh my God, he is me.
So you feel a kinship with Barack Obama.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
no matter what your politics, he's a great American success story. That
Oh
man.
yeah, and he's such an amazing public speaker. He has a great sense
But
of
he
humor.
went to fucking Harvard or something. He grew up in there, and there's a story about him watching going to the Kennedy Space Center with his grandpa, and he's on his grandpa's shoulders, and just like I love my grandpa so much, and so then this guy Donald Trump gets on TV in 2011, whatever. And he's like, okay, it's no good. He shouldn't be. He's not president anymore.
Your point about Obama doesn't matter what your politics are. It's an amazing American success story.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about Donald Trump.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
Well, but you could say it, but it's bullshit. Okay, you can say it that his dad only gave him $400 million. Barack Obama didn't have a dad in this country.
True.
You can say whatever the fuck you want to say, but Barack Obama didn't get it by going, hey, I'm going to lie on this. He didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And for Donald Trump to get on TV and go, guess what? He wasn't born here. I'm a fucking white, rich man. I demand to see the first black president's birth certificate. If they did that to a Jew, what the fuck? When we do have a president, if somebody gets on TV and said 3 years after they're elected, I need to see their fucking birth certificate, how do you think that'll go down?
Not good.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're just like, but you know what? Donald Trump, good success story. Bullshit. He should have been disqualified from running for president right there. People, us, all of his Jewish donors, me, you, we should have said, I did, by the way. Stop. That is the race.
Yeah,
and him and his wife.
It shows what a bubble I live in, because when I saw him running for president, I literally thought it was a publicity stunt. I was like, oh, that's funny that he's doing that. Like, haha, that's pretty crazy.
It
the
was,
same thing,
but
it's like
look
the
how
same reaction to
serious it
Kanye
is.
running.
Yeah.
It was the same thing
but
for
it's
me.
bullying, and we allowed it, and then just imagine, black kids and finally what this country has been through, the way that you say, well, civil rights, it's all equal now because we changed the laws, but all these powerful white men, rich, and now he's on TV saying that about the president, and then people join in. The first African American president. They're joining in. Imagine how Barack Obama's children, and then Donald Trump's children are on fucking TV. And then the Republican Party, they let him get in the debates. And then he's up there. And then all these, and that is fucking ridiculous. That is cruel and bullying. And the rest of America's like, that's fine. No, it's not fine.
It's entertaining.
No, it's not okay. It goes with all this bullshit that's been going on from day one, from this Jim Crow, like, you're less than me. We can do this. You know what? We can get away with this. We can get away with this bullshit. And it's not okay. And it would be okay today because things have changed out. It's also, guess what else is entertaining? I can put Clorox up my ass to treat this thing. Except it's dangerous.
Right.
And I don't want my children to think that's, we could do better in this country.
I agree. I think we need to, although...
But I challenged him to wrestle. I said, I will body slam you. And he sends the Secret Service to my fucking house. Now, these guys are shell-shocked working for him.
Secret Service came to your house?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Now, they're like, fuck. Their supervisor called me. I can't believe I have to do this, but we have to have an appointment with you. I have it all on tape. It's hilarious. So I said, "You guys are here."
They were big fans too.
I feel sorry for you. I'm going to tell you every one of my fight stories, and then I'm going to ask you First of all, I said, have you ever like warned him he's going to incite violence? They're like 50 times. This is 2 days before the Pittsburgh synagogue massacre, and the day before they caught Caesar Sayoc, the MAGA bomber who was sending pie bombs to everybody's house. But these guys are gentlemen. There's an African American kid and a big white kid, and these guys are who gets hurt if there's violence. The Secret Service officers, the ones that have COVID now because they have to follow dipshit to Tulsa. But I have so much respect for them. They did a security check of my house. They coordinated with the local FBI people here at the West LAPD who does my house is a fortress. I do get a lot of threats. They're bullshit.
Now, do you get a lot of threats because you're so vocal about politics and Trump, or why do you get so many?
I don't think it's political,
or just because
Trump,
you're a public figure.
Well, you get a lot of fake. They're fake. You get a lot of bots threats. You get a lot of bullshit. The Trump people and Trump himself. He's a paper tiger. He threatens all these women to say that he raped them, even the credible or sexually assaulted. He doesn't sue any of them. He's like, I will do this by this date. It's like his thing is, I will forget Obamacare, cancel it. I will have a new health care plan in 30 days. He never does anything, including suing people, including threatening. So early on, I was like, I don't care. He scares people by threatening them. So do his people. So do all these people. I don't care. This is too important. All of this. But you just check out but I have zero fear of him or anyone else that threatens me.
That's good.
I have fear of my ex-wife, and it's for real. Like, that's a real threat. And her fucking lawyers just again and again and again, because she has sent the cops again and again. That's a real fear. The people you know.
My mom called the cops on me once because I was 12 years old. And I got really upset, and I said, I'm going to kill all of you to my family. And she called the cops.
She did the right thing.
Yeah.
Because once is like, yeah. And you remember that. That was the right thing to do.
But it didn't scare me. It just made me... I don't know. It was just like, oh, great. Now I have to go talk to the cop. It was like when the Secret Service came to talk to you. That's what it was. Her calling the cops on me.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet. But you remember that, don't you?
I remember it because she's so crazy. She did it to try and teach me a lesson. She didn't think I was going to kill her or the family. I was a little kid, angry and upset, yelling bullshit.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't want to get into
my problems. But that is a little... that is crazy, your mom. But it's like I can't even imagine.
And then the cop pulls me. I sit in the cop car with him.
That's a fucking carrot thing. Where did you guys live?
In San Diego, really nice neighborhood.
Yeah, what the
Jewish
fuck?
Neighborhood.
That's the thing about my ex-wife. She's like, this finally got to a judge. Judge's like, do you think that the Brentwood Police Department is your personal security
exactly.
detail?
It was like you're wasting police resources
on
a 12-year-old son who's angry. So I sit next to the cop, and he pulls me in the cop car, and he goes, your mom's pretty crazy, huh? And I'm like, yep. And he's like, let's just sit in here a couple minutes. We'll go back inside, and you'll say you learned your lesson. I'm like, sounds good.
Yeah.
So that's how that went down.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is crazy. I can't even imagine in Tubbo, Iowa, if a parent called the cops. First of all, the cops would they had authority to beat the shit out of you where I'm from. That's not even a joke.
I'm surprised he even came to the house. If I was a cop and I answered the phone and a lady was like, my 12-year-old son just threatened me, can you please come talk to him? I'd be like, ma'am, this sounds like maybe go see family therapy. I'm not sure what to tell you, but this is not a police phone call.
Here's a better call. A 12-year-old kid called. My dad just threatened to kill me. The cop would be like, they'd be like,
yeah, then they'd be right
fuck
over.
that. No, they'd be like, but when I was young, my mom's seventh husband was the chief of police.
Oh, runs in the family.
Oh my God, it's runs in the family. But I'm also the other side, the single dad part. Like I'm a good. It does. It's fair. She was alcoholic and she did, but she left. Early on. That is always a fear. You want to be aware of that. But,
how's single dad working out for you? I imagine you do.
It's the thing that's most important to me.
Is it draining? Is it tiring?
It is a lot at work. It's but it is, there's been times because it's where I've been in bed, the kids are there, and Sasha will tell you, they have great bedrooms that they never.
Do they have a car bed?
No, they have a Murphy bed.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Murphy beds are awesome.
But they still are in my bed. And my son is very big. And
So
I
he
know
loves
that
you. He's a daddy's boy.
What's that?
He's a daddy's boy. He loves you.
Well, they both, I hope do. But one day they will be in their own bedrooms. Because Quinn will sleep in there occasionally with Sasha.
So you let them sleep with you in the bed. You're not like, hey, you're 10 years old, time to sleep in your own
He's
bed.
7. He's only 7.
So 7.
Well, it's.
I don't know what the right age is to get.
Well, I've
what
encouraged
would you say?
it. I got there beautiful. I designed. My son has an elf bed, and my daughter. I know there'll be a day, and then I'll be probably sad. And it's like the day that I did. My son didn't have walk him up to the class door, and he just ran, and I was like.
Oh, because he didn't want to be seen you dropping him off?
Well, it wasn't that. He just could do it himself.
Got it.
And it was like and I was always like, hey, you got to be able to do this yourself. I said over and over, and he's like, Dad, I got it. And they just did it. And then I had to pull the car over when I got to the street.
Because you were so
sad.
heartbroken.
Yeah.
Wow. That's sweet.
And
That's
now he
heartwarming.
runs. We have a little game.
And how are you going to react when he makes an OnlyFans as he gets older?
When he does what?
Do you know what OnlyFans is?
Is that what?
OnlyFans is like a site where it's mostly women, but they make a site and they post naked pictures of themselves on it, and they sell the pictures for money. That's what the young people are doing these days.
What do you think of that?
I'll sign you up so you can take a look at it.
When your son makes an OnlyFans, how are you going to react? What would you, as a parent, let's say he's 18.
When he's an adult?
He's 18. And he says, Dad, I made an OnlyFans. I take naked pictures of my body. People pay me $5 a month to see them.
I would. I would not let that happen. I would not have as long as I'm alive. I just wouldn't let either. Even if I'm pretty liberal, they're on TikTok. Let me put it that way. and then, but I just wouldn't let. There's some things that I just wouldn't let either of them do.
Say absolutely not. You are getting off OnlyFans.
I wouldn't let Sasha do it if she was doing it.
Well,
now.
before I came to work for you, I was starting to take pictures of my feet because I was going to sell those online.
You haven't sold any feet pics?
I got this job.
Yeah.
But I should still do it on the side,
yeah,
probably.
make some extra money.
Yeah, I got a crooked toe, so.
Yeah,
Is
I
your
wouldn't
pay
let
extra for that?
Yeah. There's a lot of things. But I made these kids. I keep telling them they were one. I don't tell them I went jerked off at the doctor's office, but they were one little cell that I saw.
Wait, you did it through the doctor? It wasn't through sex?
Was through sex. Especially my daughter. My daughters they haven't seen their mom and I hug. When I kissed Sasha on her birthday, that's the first time they ever seen.
So they were a straight up decision. It wasn't even like, hey, let's have sex and try to have kids. We were like, let's go to the doctor and we're gonna put a baby in you.
The doctor cut my scrotum in half and took my nut out.
Wait, a vasectomy or is that something else?
No, like it wasn't. It was a last ditch effort. And I'd done 23 in vitros with 4 wives. It failed. Mm-hmm. And then the last
So you have a low
one,
sperm count.
Very.
Okay.
Like 0.
And what do you think that's a genetic thing? Did you use the jacuzzi too much? Why do you think you have a low sperm count? Laptop on your lap too often?
I don't know.
Because you found out. How old were you when you found out about your low sperm? Yes, I know
found out
this.
in college when I went to, because I'd been donating blood and plasma, and I did bone marrow. I'm still a bone marrow donor, and
that's a painful.
Well,
process,
fucking painful. I worked at the University of Iowa Hospital School. This is a good story, and I used to donate blood at the U of I, and then over at was it Children's. And because you can only donate so much blood and plasma legally, and then you got $7, so I do it both places. I was very lightheaded. I was a terrible student, but
you did past what you were supposed to do.
Oh,
you did
yeah,
twice.
I did it each, and it was like. But I worked at the hospital school with the kids, and
now when you did this, did you consult any medical person? Hey, I know you're not supposed to, but do you think I'd be okay if I did it twice?
Did
you just
not,
did it.
Absolutely did not. But you come in every day at the hospital school, and there'd be a list of things you could do, like medical experiments. Mm-hmm. Like we were reading something I had read about this COVID thing. I signed a paperwork for, it's like, please be a part of this research of COVID, you were here. We're researching COVID. ... We kind of opened it up finally, and it come through a long time ago. And I think I signed up for it. I think I'm. And then at one point I hadn't read the paperwork, but apparently I had signed it when I was in the hospital. And then I stopped and went something about paying. You won't be paid this time. And then something about medical experiments. And it was the first time I've ever thought you could be paid for something like this. Anyway, at the hospital school at the University of Iowa, you come in on the board and says, "Do you want to? We're doing a sleep test, or we're doing. We want to give you this drug we're experimenting on, or whatever." And one day they said, "We're looking for some bone marrow for whatever," and I said for $50. I signed it, and the nurses who knew me very well they said, "Oh, well, I'm doing the bone marrow. Like I do that, make me." They're like, "Oh my God, you're a hero." I go, "I'm a hero. I know I'm a hero." They hated me. And I went into the room and they were being so nice to me, and I'd done something there, and they hated me, and suddenly they're so nice. And I was like, "This is weird." Oh, they go, "You really are a hero, Tom Arnold." I go, "Wow." I go, "Well, I want to help out any way I can. The blood and plasma. Now this, $50, they said, "Loosen your belt." I was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna get really good."
Oh, you want to help out? Take off your pants.
I thought they were going to take blood for the bone marrow, and the doctor comes in, and the nurses do this, and he's like, they loosen my pants, they swab down here in my hip, and he comes in, he turns around, he's got a corkscrew, like on the farm, a corkscrew needle, and he turns around, he goes, "Listen, I can give you a topical numb that, but this is gonna hurt. It's still gonna hurt like a mother." And I'm like, at that moment, I didn't realize they took the bone marrow from the hip. This is back in 1980 or whatever, and they knew it. These two nurses right here, I would never have signed up.
Sure, knowing the amount.
Knowing that, and I thought I could run out of here, and then I'd never come back to the University of Iowa, or I could just suck this up, and it was incredibly painful, but that's how they got, and that's how they figured out what my bone marrow is like for future. But that was me being arrogant, like, "Oh yeah, I'm amazing." And so anyway, then there was sperm, $35, and who wouldn't donate sperm? So my 5 roommates, I went down, and then they rejected it because there was like 3. I do at that age.
No sperm. You tried to sell your sperm. They're like, "You have bad sperm," and you're like, sperm. "Okay." And then you're like, "No condoms, sweet."
No, yeah, of course. And at bar time for I would be like, "Hey, I can't. There's nothing bad that would happen from sex with me, except maybe a staph infection. But for real, But then I turned 30, and I really wanted a family. Sure. So then it became a thing, and I told every wife, "Don't do in vitro because that would put pressure on your body for real. Get a sperm donor, or I lived next door to Shaq. This is a true story, and he had a lot of Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah,
like fucking his babies.
I reviewed the new Shaq-a-roni pizza from Papa John's.
I would have a Shaq baby.
Have you tried the Shaq-a-roni pizza?
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, from Papa John's.
Was that what he's talking about? Yeah, they're really trying to keep Papa John's going. That fucking Papa John,
100%.
That fucker is he's a lunatic. But Shaq's great. Shaq needs a commercial. He just doesn't have enough, does he?
He's got a big.
He's the nicest guy in the world. Let me tell you. So, nice. I want to do a whatever. And I have a great adoption at the end of, but everyone I want to try in vitro, and like 6 times Rosanna failed. It was so much pressure. 7 with the next wife, 7 with the next wife, and it's so. And then adoption, which I'm all for. You aren't a big fan. You say of adoption, Sasha, but
you don't like adopting people or believe in it?
No.
You know what I believe?
Why not?
I want my own kids.
Oh, just for yourself. I thought you meant you were against adoption.
Yes.
In general. I think kids should stay in the orphanages.
Well, that too. Yes, that's my second thought.
I think there's and I tell my kids like, "How did we get here?" Like you and Bob, because they see I go, "Here's the deal. You're up in heaven." They go, "Is there heaven?" I go, "Yeah." Is there hell? No. I said, no, we're Jewish. There's no hell. I said, listen, up in heaven, and like my whole life, I had to do this thing. I was born in Tubbo, Iowa, and I wanted you guys. I thought about you guys. And then your mom was born over here later on, and then she wanted you guys, and then somehow we connected, and then you guys came, and you came first, and then we want, all three of us wanted you, Jackson. It's all love, and I showed the video of their births and going, and then
They watched themselves coming out of their mom's body.
cutting, the C-section.
They watched that, and were they like freaked out or no?
No,
Sounds
because
scarring.
Quinn, they had so many questions, and after Bob moved out, we're like,
Let's just watch the video.
Yeah.
This will answer everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I said I'm gonna tell you exactly. I'm gonna show you exactly what happened, and I showed love. I showed some of the
Making
wedding
love
video.
or just
Well, if
something
I'd
like-
had something like that, but I showed the wedding video, and there's no kissing in our wedding video. I was like,
What? Why not?
I couldn't find any. It was
It wasn't
weird.
COVID times then. Why
And I
didn't
think
you
her and her
kiss?
family went on the beach and took the wedding pictures just them, which makes sense. But, it was very important. I kept the mom's pictures up in the house, and, and I have a lot of pictures of the mom as a kid. I think that was important. And that was important for me because that made me not angry, just at her nonsense. And I kept thinking, yeah, she was a kid once, She was a kid. And you know what her problem was? She didn't have me as a dad. I kept thinking that.
She
that
could have.
been right? but I did show. I went to hospital. I didn't show graphically, but I showed from my point of view, and I said, because she was like, now I was in mom's vagina. I said, no, you started out in dad's scrotum. I just want you to know, you started with me.
I made you.
Yeah,
Remember.
I made you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
A lot of people. That's an unbrought up point. A lot of women say, "Well, we have to give birth," but it's like they don't realize how hard it is for us to conjure up semen, and you're proof of that.
And there with my daughter, there was difficulty. And by the way, I'm there. I'm right there because I have birthed many horses and many calves. Growing up on a farm, and sometimes things go sideways. That's a fact. You got to be ready to help out. And we had great doctors, but the second birth, even though it was coming out of her belly, they had a little trouble reaching into getting my daughter, and they had to get a second. She kind of motioned over, and a second nurse came in and had to put a knee in my ex-wife's shoulder. Now, she doesn't know what's going on because there's a curtain between her head.
Right.
Sort of like a guillotine and a magician.
Jesus.
Yeah, which I wish it had been. I'm kidding. She doesn't see because she has no feeling in her.
Right. She doesn't know what's going on down there.
Which turns out to be the fact. But I'm like ready. I tell the doctor before we get in, man, just because you will do that. First of all, you will do anything for the people you love, including pull them out of your ex-wife's, move the whatever tissue and take your daughter out of there yourself and cut the cord yourself. You will do that. You're not going to if there's trouble, you're like, I will do this my fucking self. You will. Of course you will.
Let instinct and God take over.
Right. You'll give them a chance. But if you see those numbers dropping and there's trouble, of course you will. That's your daughter in there. And you'll save the mother's life, for God's sakes, because you'll always love her for that sort of love. You have a love for that woman in that moment.
And because we're men, we're natural born heroes.
Well, it's not heroes. We're just men. We're just fathers.
Yeah.
That's your daughter. You're a father.
I'll save any damsel that needs saving.
You'll save
I'm that
any
type
what?
of- Any damsel. Just anyone that
Do you
needs
have
saving.
a girlfriend? Have you have a boyfriend? What do you have?
I have had a girlfriend in my life. Currently, I'm looking.
Yeah. Is your
Searching.
mother alive?
Yes. Yes, she
Do you talk to her every day?
Not every day, maybe once a week
Yeah.
or so. She's doing good. We're getting along better than when she called the cops on me.
Yeah.
We're doing better.
Have you seen the Gary Shandling stuff that Judd put together about his life and
The documentary? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
his relationship with his mother? Is yours similar, or are you distant?
I think it's worse.
There's no way. There's no way.
It's not worse now, but at one point it was worse.
Is your father alive?
Yeah, they're still together. My dad
Yeah.
and I get along very well.
Yeah. And how's his relationship with your mother?
Somehow he puts up with her.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
he
Well,
loves her. They sleep in the same bed still. They travel the world
You think
together.
they're having sex?
It's a good question.
I bet they are. Once in a while.
I think, maybe once in a while.
Yeah.
I can't be every night.
Yeah,
or
maybe
even
that
every week.
thing that
but-
she called the cops when you're 12 was just a bad day for her. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just people have bad days, they
That's
have
true.
bad weeks.
Hey,
You know,
I forgive her. I'm going to say it right now.
well,
I forgive you, Mom.
well, of course you do. That's very big of you.
Thank you.
Jesus Christ. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have 2 younger brothers. One's 25 years old. He's my next door neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And one is 20 years old, goes to University of Denver.
Oh, he does.
Recently came out of the closet as a homosexual.
Is he a wrestler?
Not
They
a
have
wrestler.
good,
Yeah,
they have
he
good
is.
wrestlers up there. They have good
Really? Oh,
wrestlers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, he's not a wrestler. He recently took up snowboarding.
Yeah. And did you know he was gay before?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea whatsoever. And I told him, I said, hey, you're obviously not my favorite brother anymore, but you're still my brother.
Are you
and I
scared?
care
Were you,
about it."
were you scared for him?
No, my dad was scared for him and said, I'm worried that he'll get bullied and,
Right,
and
of
stuff
course.
like that. But I live in LA and it's so, gay here. I live in West Hollywood, so I wasn't scared.
But where he lives, are you scared that people are going to be mean to him?
I think society is a lot more receptive to gays than when I was younger, and I'm sure when you were younger. But yeah, when I was a kid, if you came out of the closet as gay, you would get teased and made fun of for sure.
But there's still people that do it. It's
I'm
your
sure
little
there
brother.
still is, but
It's
it's
your
a
little
lot
brother.
less.
Yeah, but you got to look out for him.
Yeah, and I would.
Yeah, okay.
I would kick any.
And your whole family
bully's
supported
ass.
him right from day one.
We're all supportive.
And your mom and your dad was.
Yeah, they still hang out all the time. In fact, I'd say we are closer now than ever before.
That's good.
So it's good. I have a couple questions for you. This
Yeah.
this has gone all over
Does
the
your
place.
brother
but
have a gun?
I have a gun. I'm the only one in my family who's a gun owner. I
Yeah,
have several
okay,
guns in my
okay.
apartment. I have a 12-gauge shotgun, a revolver, as well as a Glock.
Yeah, 12 gauge. You have those knives around.
I have knives. I love
Okay.
weapons. I'm like, if you go into my apartment, it would be any 13-year-old boy's dream apartment.
But know how to use them. If you have weapons, know how to use every one of those.
I know at least
Okay.
the basics of it.
Okay.
And I don't know what your stance is on guns, but
My stance is know how to use them.
yeah.
Wait, I grew up in Iowa. What do you think? How many guns do you think?
That's
but
right.
know how to operate them.
Yes, sir. The only time I ever actually loaded the gun and took, because normally I keep it locked above my bed,
Mm-hmm.
but the only time I unlocked it, kept it next to my bed loaded, was during all the riots and the looting.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
passed right by my apartment
That's
every day.
right.
So I was like, this is the closest I'm ever going to get to someone breaking into my
That's
apartment.
right. Now, what did I say when you we came into that house? How did I say we got to prepare the house? I told Sasha, I said, we got to get this place security prepared.
We were like the Rodney King riots.
Because I said,
and this was like months before anything happened.
Things
I was
are
like,
going to happen in this
crazy.
country with the economy. This before, I said, because COVID was happening, and people are going to be upset. And people of color are going to be upset, rightfully so. Trump is going to fuck this thing up. We are not that far away. Things are going to happen, and people are going to be hungry. And we need to just prepare the house, the security of the house.
It's smart. You can never be too prepared.
That's right.
I just bought a Ford E350 white van, what you'd call a rate van or cargo van, and I'm converting it to.
I would call it a rape van.
Okay, good. Me neither. And I'm converting it to a camper right now.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And the first thing I noticed was this cool compartment. I'm like, that would be a great secret gun compartment.
Oh yeah, that's a
So
good idea.
I'm getting
Just
it
make
ready.
sure that that somebody else can't get to that.
Right.
And they steal it, and then it's involved
Right,
in a
exactly.
crime, and you'll feel
Totally.
And if there's any children around, you want to make sure everything is locked down. You have guns,
100%
okay?
locked up.
That's how I feel about things.
Ammo, separate contaner. I agree. I agree.
If they're
Gun safety
used
is
to,
important.
if they're used to protect yourself, and if it's a hobby, you got to be thoughtful, and
100% agree.
There you go.
So your dream was to get on stand-up as a TV. When you went to the college, did you do stand-up in college like
I did.
your plan was?
I did.
So what was your first forte into TV when you moved to LA?
Well, before I moved to LA, I met Rosanna in 1983, right when I moved from Iowa to Minneapolis, because they had 5 clubs there, And she came from Denver, where she'd had terrible sex with a guy who turned out to be gay, your brother. And just kidding. But she was a Denver comic. She wasn't famous like nationally or anything. And
She was
we
just
hit it off.
Was she a headliner at this point?
Yeah, she's a headliner. And I was her middle act.
Okay.
At the Comedy Gallery, Scott Hansen's Comedy Gallery. And he was like, I'm going to bring someone in. I know you guys are going to hit it off. Her name is Roseanne Barr. And we did. And we hit it off. And we were fast friends. And we partied together a lot. And then she asked me to write her jokes. And then in 1985, she went on The Tonight Show. Johnny Carson, which people, Sasha might not remember, but that was...
It was the shit. As a stand-up comedian.
That was the shit. There wasn't 20 shows.
That was getting on Joe Rogan experience. Getting on Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
That was the equivalent of that.
Oh, Joe Rogan experience. Okay. Joe Rogan.
But even cooler, maybe.
Yes.
Yes.
Much cooler than getting on the Joe Rogan experience.
That's to you.
Please
to
don't
to a young
do that.
comic. To a young comic, getting on Joe Rogan experience is right now the top thing you can do for your career experience. It's to me, in my opinion, that's what every young comic strives to do. More than Conan, more than any late night show. That's now. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean that.
Could you go on the Joe Rogan experience once, and the next day get a sitcom where you're guaranteed to make $150 million? No,
but it's the closest thing to that currently exists.
Well, there's a huge drop off then.
Yes,
it goes right off the cliff. Joe Rogan would admit that.
I agree. No, I agree. It's not the same. It's not the same, but it's the closest thing we have now because now there's no interview show or late night set you could do on TV where you could get that anymore. You can't go to Montreal and get a development deal. You can't do a set on Conan or Seth Meyers or any of these late night shows and something like that to happen. But you can go on Joe Rogan and get 100,000 followers and become a headliner instantaneously.
Okay.
And
anyway. Let me just say, before the nuclear apocalypse. Before Joe Rogan was the shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson. She went on Johnny Carson in 1985, did a couple of jokes I'd written. I was back in Minneapolis watching. Huge deal. Seinfeld, those guys, when Johnny Carson was killed, Ellen, he brings him over, sits him on the couch. We sat on the couch. It was a big deal. They tell some more jokes. They get a sitcom. Everybody gets a sitcom. Bam. You know, Seinfeld's made $2 billion for a sitcom.
He is insanely rich.
Okay. If you go on Joe Rogan, you got 100,000 followers.
I regret bringing Joe Rogan up, but I'm just saying it's cool.
No. Joe Rogan is he's very cool. And, but no, he is cool.
So you went with Roseanne to shoot Carson.
Does Joey Diaz have... I love Joey Diaz was on my show, the Best Damn Sports Show too. I love him. Does he get that from going? Is he on Joe's show?
So I would argue that Joey Diaz, who's an amazing comedian, I'm not diminishing in any way.
He was very good on Best Damn Sports Show,
and he's great on everything.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan, and I'm not diminishing him in any way. But
No,
I
please
would
don't.
argue
I like him a lot.
that him going on Joe Rogan a bunch of times is why he is the giant success that Joey Diaz is currently.
Well, I would argue that he is Joe Rogan is lucky to have him on the show. He is authentic. And
it goes
great.
both ways. It goes both ways. But Joe Rogan gave him the platform to build the fan base that he has now.
I'm sure.
Obviously, he's gotten fans in other ways from his stand-up, from Best Damn Sports Show, from all these other
but
things.
all his life, he's
from
such
his life.
He's so good. Like Andrew Santino,
good friend of mine.
Yeah, I did a series with him. He's awesome. He goes on Joe Rogan too, so they have quality people on the show. Who else is on
100%.
Joe Rogan?
Everybody.
Yeah, but that they have that's good quality show.
But he also gets like scientists. He gets like
Sure, not just
across the
comedians.
board.
Yeah.
Like that's why he's like the Messiah mostly to men because he
He's
talks
like the
about
what?
Oh, sorry,
The Messiah.
the Jewish thing.
Fucking Joe Rogan.
Unless you talk
Jesus.
to what's the girl who just bashed him on Twitter?
Who would
the
dare?
girl from that witch show? Do you know who I'm talking about? Shit, forget her name. Some hot girl from some CW show just bashed Joe Rogan.
Wait a minute. Well, now I'm on.
She'll never work
now
again.
I'm back on Joe
Alyssa
Rogan's
Milano.
side.
That's who it was. Alyssa Milano.
Hold on.
Bashed Joe
you
Rogan.
just
recently.
did it again.
now,
Why'd you do that?
I'm sure he doesn't care. I like Alyssa Milano.
I know you
She's
do.
our neighbor. She's I love her, actually. Listen.
She picked the wrong fight, is all I'm saying.
Well, what He's gonna.
I love
I
Charmed.
think that's a great fight.
That's the thing. Her tweet said, "It is amazing that I live in a world where Joe Rogan's podcast gets 3 times the listeners that mine does." And the response, the average response was, "No one remembers you except for Charmed," or 3 times. That's laughable. It's more like 100 times.
Well, those are all 3 hilarious. Those are hilarious comebacks. And did she really say that?
Yeah, she tweeted basically.
Is she working with Joe now? Because that sounds like they're in cahoots.
No.
I'll tell you what. You say this, and then
that's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
If that happened, it would be cool.
They'll have you on the show. They're probably buddies.
I want to see her on the show.
That is the stupidest thing to say. Of course, she'd be great. I'm gonna call Joe Rogan. I want to go on the show.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
He's politically different.
I think he remains pretty neutral. He's not going to sit on
I
there.
know you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not like you. He's not going to, go on there and bash.
He's not a patriot. He's not a fucking American. He doesn't have any balls to stand up for his goddamn country. Yeah, what?
I'm going to edit this out because I want to see you on Joe Rogan.
What? No, I mean it, I'm sure he's a tough. He is a tough. He's a. What is he? MMA or UFC? Who gives a fuck about that? This is go time for our country. This is time. You're in or you're out. You're a good guy or you're a bad guy.
Can't you be
got
in the middle?
balls or
Can't
you
you
don't
be
have
in the
balls.
middle?
No, you can't be in the middle. I'll tell you what. Everybody can't be Switzerland.
Right.
If everybody is Switzerland, all the Jews would be dead. That's a fact.
Good point.
Yeah, and everybody else would be too.
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan, if you're fucking Switzerland, fuck you. For real. Hey, can you be in the middle? Guess what?
All the Jews would be dead.
In fact, if you're the badass you say you are, we need you. Otherwise, fuck off. And I mean that. Quote me on that.
I love it. I love
fucking
the
Alyssa Milano has 3 times the balls Joe Rogan does.
She definitely speaks her mind.
And I mean that.
She speaks her mind.
No, she has 3 times the balls Joe Rogan does. And Elon Musk.
You don't like
fuck
Elon Musk?
Well, he's a pussy. I'm moving my company to
I
Texas.
love Elon Musk.
Oh, good. Well, he's a brilliant guy.
But I love you too.
I love his rockets. I love his rockets.
Yeah.
But fucking, move to fucking Texas. California is fucking awesome.
He might move. Yeah.
Well, they're all moving. Him and Joe. For tax reasons, I understand. But
I think taxes is part of it, and I think part of it is they're just tired of all the drama.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Are they tired of the drama? They get on board with fucking getting rid of Trump. Trump is a monster.
But that's out of their control.
No, it's not. No, really. It's not. It's out of your control to go every day. I'm going to speak up. That's what we do in a democracy. Anyway, fuck them.
So back to your stand-up career.
Yeah, I'm the biggest voice since Johnny Carson, and I'm going to say nothing.
What was
that's why you put that up. Put that clip out.
It'll go
Joe
out.
Rogan. I want it out.
I think it's going out. It's out of my control at this point.
Good.
I'm not going to put it out. Someone else will.
Good. Oh, listen. No. You don't have to put it out.
All right, I'll put it out.
That's what we do.
If you want.
Yeah, I do want.
I can also edit it out if you want.
Put it out.
Okay, it's going out.
That's why fucking right.
Wait, maybe after we text him.
What are your thoughts on
it?
Should we put it out or edit it out?
Yes, put it the fuck. Do you think I give a shit?
Don't ask me. Don't you dare.
Put it the fuck out. What?
He's putting it out. He's putting it out right now.
I'm putting it out.
You think I'm afraid of...
I don't think you're afraid of anything. I
No,
definitely
he
don't.
is definitely not.
Yeah, I do not think that for a second.
This is about go time. I hope you realize that we're all...
And we may not even.
You're making me think twice. I might not vote for Trump now. I mean that. I think I'm
on your mom's side. 100%.
I think I'm switching my vote. I think it's going old man Biden.
He is old. He's old. He's an old fucking white man. Probably lost a step, definitely. But he's better.
He's a better of the alternative.
Trump.
Yeah, he's a better.
But he cares.
He's a lesser of two evils.
He's a good human being. He's a good man. He's been through a lot. He has compassion.
Don't say
been
he
of
lost
service
a
to our
step.
country. What's that?
Don't say he lost a step. We're trying to.
Well, every old man's lost. You thought
he has though.
When you're 78 or whatever, you've lost a step.
I know that.
You know,
senile.
But I'll tell you what, he's going to have a hell of a vice president. He's way better. Trump is out of his mind, and he's an old school racist. He's that old school I love black people. There's some things they're better at. Michael Cohen is.
I agree with
Trump's
that.
lawyer for 10 years, and he would always tell me he's that old school, systemic racist. Like, hey, I love black people, but there are just some things they are better at than
Right.
others. Like, we heard it from our fucking grandpas.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, it's old school
everybody
racism.
heard it growing up. And
Trump does have that. I agree with
of
you.
course he has it.
Yeah.
And again, Michael Cohen spent 10 years in the office with him, and he says it out loud now. And again, I heard it from people in my family, and I still do in Iowa. I have a lot of my family. A couple of my brothers are Trump supporters, and they just genuinely believe that.
Now, let me ask you something. So, a couple of your brothers are Trump supporters, and you're obviously passionately not. Are you still cool with your brothers? Can you put that aside and still meet up and have a family gathering? Or are you so passionate where you're like, fuck them, if you support Trump, I hate you, and I'm never
I don't
seeing
hate you, but I make it clear. And they,
Right.
there's a lot of teasing back and forth.
Got it. So you're still a family. You can still meet up and have a family dinner.
Well, there's always been a lot of the family dinners on the best days have always been just a lot of shit going down.
A lot of fighting.
Well,
Yeah, that's how my
there's
family is
been
too.
the brothers.
I cannot go on a family vacation anymore. My
No.
family this year went to Japan, offered me a free trip to Japan to go with them. I was like, I'm done with family vacations.
Wow.
I'm too old. We don't get along. I
That's
don't want to
true.
go to Japan and hate being in Japan. That's not how I want to go to Japan. So I'm
Good
not
for
doing
you.
that anymore.
Sasha's been privy to just one brother organizes these family things. What is it on Facebook where people
Facebook
start out-
Messenger group.
Jesus. And then my one brother that organized starts putting pictures from back in the day, and he puts offensive.
But they all shit on each other, and it's hilarious.
Oh,
though.
yeah, that's what everybody does, Pat. And then my other brother, he starts putting up his Trump stuff, and then we start, but it's all like nothing is sacred, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
There's
That's good.
filthy.
That's what you want.
Yeah, I know. There's no, and then some people get really offended than other people. My sister was in prison for 20 years.
For what? What'd she do?
She was the meth queen of America. You could Google
That's
Google her
awesome.
name, yeah.
I mean, it's not awesome, but
You know,
that's interesting.
And then her son, who we raised, has never had a drink or done drugs, but he's got some.
She learned from.
He's a giant.
He learned from her mistakes.
Well, he certainly, his dad died in prison in Fort Leavenworth, and then she married another guy in between her two terms, and he's in prison now.
I didn't realize your family was so fucked up.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, my mom was married 7 times, and my dad raised us, so that's, but my sister was a gangster, and, we're going back to Iowa because they did a Discovery Channel's doing a documentary.
I guess all things considering, you're actually a normal guy.
Well, I am very grateful to be where I am, emotionally, mentally sober. I'm sober.
Congratulations.
Mentally, yeah. I love being a dad. I love it. And I'm grateful to have the life. I'm grateful to be here in this shithole talking to you.
This shithole's all I can afford, sir.
No, it's great. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys are welcome to record your podcast here anytime if you need.
Is that what
if you
they
need
do?
if you
Is
need
it?
a location outside of your
We
apartment.
got our thing. We got
Yeah,
our
but
house.
maybe you have like a big guest that doesn't want to come to the back house. You need an office location in Hollywood. You got one now.
Okay.
But I have a question that
Yeah.
my brother wanted me to ask you. My brother is a big
Which
fan.
one, the middle brother or the little brother?
Middle brother, good question. He is a big fan of Best Damn Sports Show.
Oh, I love that show.
And I think it's a great show, one of your best bodies of work. I mean that. And I'm curious to know how that came about because to me, before that show, you're an actor. You don't have a real sports background. You have a comedy background. So, and obviously there's color commentary with sports, but how did that show come about where you became a host of the Best Damn Sports Show?
Well, that's a good question because that was one of the lucky best things I did. I was at a NFL charity thing, and a producer from Fox Sports came up and said, listen, we want to try this show. We've got a football guy, a baseball guy, and a basketball guy. We want to have a comedian. And we'd like to do this daily show on Fox Sports, and we want to try. Would you like to try it? And I said, well, who are the guys? And I remember he said John Kruk was the baseball guy. And I see John Kruk on Letterman, and he was very funny. And I said, who's the football guy? He said Deacon Jones. And the basketball guy was John Sally. And then the host was this guy named Chris Rose, and I said, well, I like those guys, and John Sally's my neighbor, but John Kruk, man, he was very funny, and I said, let's try it. I think let's try it for a week. Let's go in and try one, and I think it will probably last a week, and then they didn't know how to pay me. I said, well, my agent said, well, here's this fee for sitcoms, and they said, okay. Which is a lot for a sports show,
Right. For a
it's sort
daily
of a
talk show.
reality,
Right.
For an
unscripted daily talk
Yeah.
show to get a sitcom rate sounds incredible.
And so then it was great fun, and it was on. I did that for 4 years like that, and it was we did the crazy stuff because it really wasn't. We were on 19 regional networks. Not a Fox Sports 1 did not exist.
Oh, okay.
They tried to get it. And so who knew when we were going to be on TV, but we did amazing things. I love sports. I'm a huge sport fan. I got to meet my idols. I'd sit with them. We had so many laughs meeting guys. So inappropriate. Got to visit my sister in prison with the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, we off the top, Kruk didn't want to fly. Right after 9/11. He went back home, and he was driving across America. We said, let's make something out of that. He stopped in Atomo, Iowa, where I'm from. My old Little League coach had died. We made him go to the service and to view the body, and we filmed him. He was so creeped out. He doesn't like anything like that. We made him stop, and the other guys I played baseball with, they were so like, oh my God. And they dressed up my old coach in his uniform in the casket. And they were so impressed that John Kruk there. I did a lot of, I had my brothers in Iowa set it all up, like make it really uncomfortable for Kruk. And we filmed it. And oh my God, we did all kinds of.
And the fake fight, that's my favorite episode.
Michael Strahan, who started with us too. Michael Strahan, he's got all these shows. And they did, producers are dumb, right? They mean well. But I kept, after I left the show, I kept coming back. They go, 2006, they go, we got a really good we got a great April Fool's idea. Now, you're a comic. They're all bad ideas for April Fools. They got dumb ideas. They go, I'm not going to do it because it's April Fool's Day. Everybody will know it's a joke. I'm coming back on the show. And they go, can I tell it to you? I go, yeah, but it's going to be stupid. That's how I started every day in the production meeting.
You're like,
can I tell you my jokes?
Suck.
I go, they're going to suck. That sucks. And I would say that. And when the writer, who's a very nice guy, would start telling me the jokes I want to tell, I would say, you suck. I'm going to punch you. And our rehearsals played all over the lot at Fox. And wherever Fox affiliates were, and I remember the executive producer came and I goes, you're going to get all of us fired because it's playing not only here, but wherever the studios are around the world or New York, they're watching you go, I'm going to if I read another shit joke, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, Jerry Parseghian. I was getting mad. The jokes are so bad.
Yeah.
This is back in the day when you could, threaten people's lives. And so they go, here's the deal. You've just written a new book. We've mocked up the book. It looks real. You come on, and in this book, you trash talk everybody from the show and all these famous athletes who came on the show, and you tell me like locker room stuff, like really inappropriate stuff. And Rodney Peete was one of the hosts that day. Rodney Peete played at USC, who I knew very well, and a guy named Rob Dibble, who's this pitcher from Cincinnati, crazy person, and then Michael Strahan, who I knew very well because he's a New York Giant, and I know it since he was.
That sounds like a good prank to me.
Yeah, and then Chris Rose knows it, the host, so he's gonna cut it off at a certain point. After you made those guys mad and uncomfortable, you're gonna be proud of your book, tell these inside stories, and they're gonna get mad, and then Chris Rose is gonna go, okay, well here's the real story. That was an April Fool's joke. So I go, okay, Want it. Then I call Michael Strahan and go, listen to this shit. They want me to I need you to do this with me. They want me to pull a joke on you and Dibble and Rodney, but here's the joke they want me. And he goes, okay, here's what I need you to do. I want you to listen and to get badder, a little badder, and keep it tight. And then at one point, I want you to turn to me like, I'm going to say something so real and shitty. You turn to me, and then I'm going to poke you. I'm going to get really pissed at you and get in your face. And then you turn to me, and we start fighting. You have to throw me down, like physical. And then it's on. And before Chris Rose stops it, he'll be sitting next to you. Don't let him stop down the show and say anything. I'll keep my eye on him. Dibble and Rodney Peter will be on this side. We'll freak out, and then we'll get in a physical fight. Feel free to hit me, do whatever. That'll be the joke. And so that's what happened on the air. We're live on the air. And I'm saying I can see these two. Rodney Pete's a very nice gentleman. Holly Robinson Pete's his wife. And Rob Dibble, whatever. By the way, they weigh about 300 pounds now. They've gained so much weight. So I'm looking at them, and I'm kind of telling these stories about inside the locker room, and they're like, yeah, that seems like it's something you wouldn't tell publicly because you heard that story here if they shared that. And they're getting a little pissed at my book. And I'm telling all these things about John Sally, who's not there. They're actually really real stories because I couldn't think. And then I started talking about the Giants locker room. My buddy Steve Tisch owns the Giants. And he was my third best man. And all I could think of were real stories. And I'm like, yeah, remember Tiki Barber? This happened. And this. And I turned to Strand, and Strand's getting really bad. He's like, well, you know what? That is inappropriate. I shared that in confidence. He left the team, and then this happened. He turns to me and go, you know what? The bullshit. I'll tell you what. You're full of it. You said this, and I turned to him, and he's acting so good. I see Chris Rose like. And then he's acting so good that I finally realized Chris is going to stop showing. I jam my finger into Michael Strand's face, and he flips around and it flips my chair back. But then I get on top of Michael Strand, and these two fat bastards jump on me. One cracks one of my ribs, and then Michael, who's just recovered from pec surgery, is just about to go back on the Giants. He pretends he's torn his pec, and the director goes, go to black. Arnold has finally killed the show. That's a Friday night, and the people on the East Coast freak out the Giants. And then he jumps up and goes, April Fool's, motherfucker, but nobody sees that.
Right, it's all off air.
It's off air.
They cut it. Oh
yeah,
my
and
God.
they have freaked out.
Oh
and
my
they are
God.
so mad. They're like, how could you do that to us? I go, how could you ask us to play a dumb joke? That's an April Fool's. So they play it every year. It's the best. Because they genuinely, and then I had to come back on Monday. They had to call the Giants freak out. They had to do a whole presser. They had to do a whole
but
thing.
That was probably great for ratings.
It was because people watched it again and again, and people still play it. And Strand still every year Strand's like retweets. He goes, "This is the best," because it was real. Like Chris Rose, I can see him panicking and how bad these and when they got those fat bastards got on me because all these.
I'm gonna go watch that now.
It's
for
so
sure,
funny.
100%.
Yeah,
So awkward.
but I kept. I'll tell you this: they didn't know. Strahan knew, and you see how good of an actor he is. And Chris Rose is the nicest guy, the host. I love him. We just had a reunion with 100 members of that show, and I can see he's getting nervous. I go, and I realize I got to
do it before he cuts off.
Strahan. Yeah.
That's awesome.
April Fool's jokes. People that think they're comedians and aren't.
Right, of course.
They're the worst people.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
People who give you notes on jokes who have never told the joke in their life.
But I love sports. Are you guys a sports family?
I love sports, too, but I don't follow them closely anymore, to be honest.
I guess University of Denver, hockey is more their...
They're not a big sports college.
Yeah.
I'm a Banana Slug, UC Santa Cruz. They have a good tennis team, but they weren't a big sports college either. Mm-hmm. But growing up, I
what
played
did you
sports.
major in?
Film and digital
Oh, that's
media.
good. That's good.
I didn't want to go to college. I was pressured to go by my family, so I went.
I think
chose
it's good.
the
I
easiest
think it's
major
solid.
I could.
I think it's solid. I think it's solid to have to accomplish something like that.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have another career question for you. So you've done so much. Your IMDb is stacked with credit after credit after credit after credit. I imagine that it gets jaded for you after a while, and probably you get offers from your agent, and you're like, sure, I'll do it, but you don't even really care about it. What's the thing in your career where you were so stoked to do, so excited, where you're like, hell yeah, I got to do this?
Oh, there's been a lot of things, I made it a point the last few years to go. I need to appreciate this, because I think there was a long time where I was like, God, and I would do stuff.
Yeah, and it felt like
I
work.
just like, fuck, you know. And I think working is good. And I do want to work, and I do want to pay the bills. And I think, when it's also not about, gosh, I wish I would have appreciated this or that, because you have to live in the, I've seen movies where I'm like, I'd forgotten I had done that, or I forgot this, and watching it with my kids especially, that was fun. And my daughter, she'll even be at her mom's house, say, Daddy, do you remember this? And I'll FaceTime with her the whole movie. She'll be at her mom's couch sometime and watch, and I'm thinking, where's your mom? but it's fun and the way she sees things, because kids are like, oh my God, did your head really blow off? And these are movies I think are terrible to me, ridiculous, like Camp Fred 3, but she loves it because she's a little kid. Now, I remember being like on the set going, fuck, this is just bullshit. But, seeing it's all this has made me reconsider things, like, a little bit grateful to be there. There has been, I was pretty excited to do, I was very grateful to be in True Lies.
Oh, yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, I was surprised. But, 9 months. And,
when you were
fun.
doing True Lies, did you realize it was going to be the big movie that it was?
No.
Yeah.
No. I was just fun to do, you
Yeah.
know. I was like, I was surprised. I didn't really have to, I sort of auditioned. I didn't know the lines. I thought my agent called and said, I got you a meeting with James Cameron for True Lies. And I know that he heard that Roseanne and I were leaving William Morris. So I'm like, I said, yeah, that you set up a mercy meeting, didn't you? Because that's what an agent will call a director that
a last-ditch effort.
Yeah, like a director said, do
Yeah.
me a favor. The Arnolds are leaving the agency. Please just meet him, please. And a lot of directors will do that. James Cameron won't, it turns out. But I'm like, that's embarrassing.
But
I'm
he
not
gave you an
gonna
audition instead.
Well, I wasn't going to meet with him because I don't want to waste his time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. But then I thought, well, I'm going to go there and meet James Cameron.
Sure.
So I can say I met James Cameron, right?
Yeah.
And then we talked, and I went there and talked to him a little bit. He was very cool. Seemed like, working class, down to earth guy. And then he's here. He's like, well, why? Let's do the scene. I go, I would be honest. I didn't really. I read it, but it's great. I was like, say, but I didn't learn it. I just knew I wasn't gonna get the part. He goes, well, just while you're here, read it. Here it is. Do this. Read the scene off these pages. I did. And he's like, I'm gonna get Arnold out here, so I'm gonna see if you guys do it together. Then Arnold Schwarzenegger walked down the stairs. I was like, fuck, that's Arnold. And by now, I thought Jim and I were more friends. Like, I didn't think it was gonna be the movie. I said, I could take him. Like, I meant it for real. Like, I'd size him up. And then later, James Cameron said, that's why I cast you.
Because you said I
you're
could take
signing
him?
him up. Like, yeah. And I believe that for sure. Like,
yeah.
For sure.
That's hilarious.
James Cameron, though, at the time, I would say no. He's 6'3", very raw boned, and I've seen him mad.
So you thought you could take Arnold, but not James Cameron?
Well, James Cameron would be a handful.
So that means you think James Cameron could take Arnold?
Yeah. At
Wow.
that time. I don't know.
At that time.
Well, I'd seen him very mad. I don't know. It'd be a hell of a deal.
Wow.
It'd be a hell of a deal.
I'd pay $150 to watch that.
It'd be a hell of a deal. I saw it almost go down.
Oh, they got in some on-set fights?
Well, I saw
Some
one
scuffles?
mad. I've never seen both mad. You got to both be mad at the same time, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, here's one other question, or not one other question, but a question. So you've done so much again. What was the one opportunity that you blew? Was there an audition that you royally fucked up, or sometime where you pissed someone off, where you're like, damn, I screwed that up. That would have been so cool.
Oh, I've never felt really good at an audition where I went, oh my God, I'm amazing, because it's an art auditioning. I don't know that I've ever, because I went from, okay, I want you to do this job, to kind of oh, can I get this audition? Or I'll tell you something that happened. This guy, Matthew Whiter, great writer. He did Mad Men, and he's done a bunch of shows, a bunch of TV shows. Very great writer, and you know, a good guy, I'm sure, very good guy, whatever. And you know, he told me one time, you know, Tom, you know, you really were an important person in my life because he had lost, was it the Emmys or the Gold Globes or something, and he was outside on a curb, like weeping, and I went up to him and sat with him on the curb and said some things that inspired him, and it really changed his life. And he told me this, and I said, yeah. He said, boy, I'd like to, you know, I said, I'd like to work with you sometime. And so Mad Men was ending their run. And this guy's created a bunch of great shows. And he said, I'd like to find something for you. And I said, okay. So somehow my agent or something got this little part of a comedian on a scene or two in Mad Men. A comedian.
Yeah.
And he said, come down to the place they auditioned everybody for Mad Men. If you think this place is a shithole, down there, downtown. I was like, okay, done. Go in there, and I walk in there, some of the best, finest actors I've ever seen in my life, sitting on the floor, and actresses sitting around this place, no water. It's hot. And they kind of come one at a time, slowly, in to meet Matt Weiner, and do a seat. And it's, you know, I'm like, how do these, I would cast every single one of these people. There must be, I don't know what's happening here, but it better be big. They better, you know, it better be a new show. You know, Stanley Kubrick must be in that room and so I get in there and he's like, hey, and I do the scene and little scene. He's like, yeah, that doesn't, the joke, you know, the punchline. I go, well, yeah, pretty good. The comedian part. I'm like, well, that's you know, that's actually the part I'm good at because I'm a comedian. And anyway, whatever ends up happening, it's the easiest thing. It might be one or two lines as a comedian, and let me tell you something. If somebody was as important to my life as I allegedly was to this fucking dude, I would say, hey, I've written you something on the Roseanne Show or the Jackie Thompson Show.
Right. Don't
and
come
listen,
on
that
in.
was an important fucking show, the Roseanne Show.
Sure,
I cared
it was
about
huge.
that show.
And it was a huge show.
Especially if they're a comic. I've written you the comic. I'm going to, you know, but I wouldn't say, I want you to come down
And read.
and sit in a fucking hole. And all these people. One guy's wife had broken her leg.
That's
on the way
not a
there.
hookup.
A great actor, by the way, who should have had all these parts. And he had to miss taking her to the hospital. He was so worried about, I don't know if it was the same part of the comic, but have a little fucking respect for actors. And so I wrote him an email, and I wrote one of my single space emails. You've seen those.
Telling him your
Tell him to
feelings.
fuck off. I said, listen,
Did he
man,
respond?
I don't think so. I'm sure it's the last. But listen, I just wanted to say something for me and every other person sitting on the floor of that stanky shithole thing. And you know, I've had that a couple times, but that is ridiculous.
Well, it's one thing throwing an actor a bone as far as getting them an audition or whatever, but you know, a seasoned veteran, head writer of Roseanne, host of Best Damn Sports Show, someone with a full-blown career who is so important to you to say, hey, I want to work with you and then get you some audition. It's like, come on.
No, and it's not just, it was a comic in a scene.
Right. A comic,
and I have killed with James Cameron, Stephen Frears.
Right.
Fucking
yeah, exactly.
great.
You're accomplished.
Fucking better, maybe better directors than him. Chris Columbus. Maybe,
At least up there with him at the least.
Yeah. I think Stephen Frears is. I don't know.
I don't even know who this guy. I've seen the show Mad Men, but I don't.
Okay.
I'm not super familiar with that whole world or know who he is. But that's a good story. Thank you for sharing.
Oliver Stone cast me in a movie. Martin Scorsese. I told my worst story is Oliver Stone fired me and Martin Scorsese in the same week. I'd been already at rehearsals for what is it? Any Given Sunday, and he did buy me as a sportscaster. That's right before I got the sports show, and but I loved it. I've been down there with Al Pacino and all these guys, and then he had to write me an apology letter, which it was and pay me. But I was like, yeah, I'm really not sad because the sportscaster of that really didn't, it's not a big deal. I like Jim Caviezel, and I liked rehearsing with those guys. And then I was Martin Scorsese had cast me alongside Nicolas Cage in Bringing Out the Dead, the ambulance driver guys. And I've been in New York and rehearsing, and then Martin Scorsese came up and he said, "Listen, you got the part, obviously, and you earned it. But the guy that I originally wanted, who was unavailable, just became available. It's your role. There's no pressure. It's your choice." And but he just became available, and I said, "Who is it?" And he said, "John Goodman." And I said, "Well, then it should be his part." And
wow! So you gave it up?
Yes.
And just because you wanted. Why? Yeah. Why did you make that choice?
Because I felt like it's like, hey, I remember I was in high school and my girlfriend had broke up with me, and then she's like, it was right before the prom, and she's like, yeah, but fuck, I'll still go to the prom with you. And I'm like, fuck that.
Oh, God. It's like, why'd you shouldn't
Why
have
would
said
you
anything.
tell me that? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you should. Then just say I could have. Then say, hey, I got the part.
Anything.
Yeah, don't say anything. I get that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Don't. That's about the.
Yeah. Why'd you? Mm-hmm. That's true. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Right? He just brings it back to respect and self-respect.
I think now I'd go, hey, fuck Goodman. I'm better. I'll show you better. For real, like.
Or say, why'd you say anything then? If I have the part, it's my choice. Why not just give me the part?
Mm-hmm. Or my agent should have protected me from that.
That too. Mm-hmm. But maybe they didn't know. I don't know. Or they know.
True.
Do you still do stand-up?
I do. I do. Okay. I can't wait to do more. Right, Sasha?
Yeah.
We're going to do a tour for our podcast.
I'm doing at the Comedy Store tonight. They're having stand up on the patio where you go up, do comedy behind a window, and the audience is on the outside.
Oh my God! Like the red light district.
Yes, like the red light district.
Glory hole.
I am a Amsterdam prostitute tonight.
Really?
At
You're
the
so
Comedy Store
lucky.
doing stand up. Yeah. You ever been there, Amsterdam? You ever had sex with Amsterdam?
You went to
I
the place, Roman Holiday or something? Is that your place?
The brothel with the glory holes?
Yeah.
I never went there. I drove past
Wait,
it.
what is this place?
It's on Venice.
It's in LA?
Yeah.
It's a current brothel?
When I was a kid, I'd come out here every summer and we would drive past it and we'd talk about the glory holes, but I don't think it's there anymore.
Wow.
There's a place down by the airport, by the way. And I went there with Chris Farley once. And,
I was going to ask you about Chris Farley.
And he, I don't know his birthday, but and by the way, Oliver Stone was in the place.
Already.
Surprisingly enough. And you take a shower, and I walk into and this, I swear to God, this is true. And of course, they asked Chris Farley to take a shower first because he was, you look at him, you're like, hey, Kevin Farley will back me up on this. Take a shower, please. So, maybe you don't ask everybody, but you definitely would ask Chris.
And did they know who he was? Like when he walked in, was he recognizable?
Think so.
No.
They just thought he was a big, sweaty guy.
Yeah.
And then, I came out of the area where, you go up to pay with your unmarked credit card, and Chris had been asked to take a shower, and he took a shower, and there's a little sitting area. And the seating area included people reading magazines, and Chris was completely naked. Right as you walk in, just sitting there. Other guys are in suits, Nobody was naked. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy how much he liked being naked. If you think Jax liked it,
Yeah.
Who's Jax, your
everywhere,
son?
everywhere he liked being naked. He's naked all the time. Anybody that knows him knows how much he enjoyed being naked.
Did he have a large penis?
Well, he had a large body, so I think if you're just scale to that
Do you
body,
think if he wasn't a famous entertainer that could get naked anywhere, he'd be a streaker or a flasher?
Oh, we were all streakers. I was arrested naked, public nudity. I think it's.
But when you streaked, was it for fun, like as a thing, or was it?
Daring.
But I mean, would he be kind of like a creepy flasher?
No, he wouldn't be a creepy flasher. He just think for funny.
Yeah,
It's
for
funny.
fun.
What
Yeah,
he did
yeah.
was funny.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you're 300 pounds, I don't know. I'm sure there are creepy flashers that are 300 pounds. I'm sure they're.
He was just pure comedy, though. It was all funny.
Yeah, he was. But again, I'm not. I'm sure there are people that have seen creepy 300-pound flashers. As we know, there's a lot of famous men that are creepy that have been. Harvey Weinstein. Mm-hmm. You know, he's in prison.
He's an overweight
because he's a fucking
rapist.
Disgusting pig.
Yeah.
You know, he jerked off at a plant.
Do you have any experiences with him?
With him, yeah, I had two things. I got into two fights with him at the. He hated my friend David Carr. He called him a fucking asshole. That was a writer for the New York Times. I'm like, what the fuck are you telling me that for? We got it at the Jeffrey Katzenberg Motion Picture Home fundraiser, where I got in a fight this year before last with Mark Burnett about Trump, an actual fist fight. Like, I'd also gotten in one with Harvey Weinstein, who thought he could come up to me. He goes, "Your friend David Carr is an asshole," and like out of the blue, like, you don't do that. I'm sitting there.
Yeah, you're like, hello to you too.
Yeah, because he'd written a story about him in the New York
Sounds like you
Times.
have a good
and
track
then his dead
record.
Mark Burnett thought he could fucking choke me, like do this like out of the blue. I'm like, no, because of Trump. I had a show called Hunt for the Trump Tape, so that started a big fight.
That was pretty recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had to tear off his gold fake Jesus chain.
Sounds like you have a good track record for getting in fights with bad people.
I do have a good track record.
That's pretty
I
cool.
have a good track record for winning fights with
bad people. I like that.
Undefeated. Dean Cain, fat Superman from the fucking 90s, thought he could do the same thing, like set up a video as I was coming out of not Ed McMahon, God bless him. It was out of Larry King's talk show. And I'm a sweet guy. On the way in, I seen him and said hi and hugged his buddy. His buddy said, I know your second brother-in-law or something, Eric Chapnell. I go, yeah, he's a good guy, or his writing partner or something. And then when I came back through the green room, they'd set up a camera so Dean Cain could confront me for calling him a racist. And because he hung out with Trump at this racist convention where they're anti-LGBTQ rights and these, teen suicide is a fucking problem. These young trans teens, and if you're gonna stand up there with Trump at this, he's like, I was just there to promote my movie. Well, they're using you, Superman, to promote. It's a white supremacist thing anyway. So I criticized. Anyway, he stood up like, "Hey man, I want you to. How dare you call me a racist and white supremacist on Twitter?" I go, "What? Let me see that." He goes, "Well, it's on." I go, "Let me see the tweet." I go, well, hey, man. I go, let me see the fucking tweet, man. What are you talking about? And threw him up. I go, let me tell you something. And you see the whole thing, and he put it up, which is stupid. Those motherfuckers are using you, Dean Cain, Superman. And he put it up there. He's like, yeah, Tom Arnold backed down. Like, I didn't fucking back. First of all, I took my glasses off. You always take your glasses off to fight. So your glasses off here.
And if you tried to not fight, there's nothing wrong with
that.
No,
I don't want to fight.
Yeah, that doesn't make you a pussy.
And then I hugged him at the end. I go, hey,
de-escalate.
come on, man. I give him a big hug where you hug somebody, they take their arms away from them.
Yeah.
He played football at
it doesn't make you a pussy to not want to fight.
I don't want to fight.
To try and de-escalate a situation. Yeah.
And then after that, I got him card by post, and I'm like, That felt good, man. Finally, I didn't have to fight anybody. And then I get a call from my Eric Kritzer, my manager's like, holy shit, what just happened? I go, oh, no, he goes, no, Variety, he just released that video and said you backed down from him. And I go, what? Did you watch the video? I absolutely did not. So I tweeted, I go, you're a pussy. And then I started the whole thing back up. I go, that's not what happened. And you see the video.
You're 60 years old. You don't want to be getting in fights. Why did your publicist call you St. Calling? Anyway.
My publicist in the car with me. She saw what happened.
Yeah.
He tweeted that video and said, I just made Tom back down from me. That's just a lie.
And he cut off the last part of the video, right?
Well, he cut off the middle part, but I don't know what he cut off. I'm sure he cut off part, but I was like, that didn't happen. And I'll turn the car around right now. That's another thing. I will go back there.
Well, I got a surprise for you. Dean, come on in.
Oh,
got
good.
the email.
He knows that. I'd do it right now. I'm not going to bullshit. No, because in this country at this time, you got to stand up. And, I have a 7-year-old kid, a 4.5-year-old daughter.
Very cute kids.
And
see them on your social media.
And when this goes down, and people are going to say, what did you do? What did you say? Did you know Donald Trump? Yes. Do you know his kids? Yeah. He threw him out the house for a year. Who supported Don Jr.? Me and my friends for a year. Same thing with Eric. Who looked out for them? Who did the right thing? Did you take the money they offered you to do Celebrity Apprentice? NBC offered me $250,000 to do it. I didn't take that.
And this was pre all this shit. So
yeah, it was. It was. And so, there's nothing I've said. I had the show, and I didn't do the show. Vice said, we like your tweets. We like what you're saying. Would you do a show? And I said, yeah, but it has to be real. And I work with great journalists. Jane Mayer and David Cord and Michael Iskoff and all these great people. I interviewed Jeffrey Epstein's flight attendant. I got the flight manifest before I went to his house. I did all this stuff. I went to the lawyer that represented the Melania elevator tape here.
That sounds exciting.
But I did all this stuff, and I sent somebody to interview the prostitute at the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow. I stayed at the same hotel where Trump was.
Prostitute, now you're talking my language.
Yeah. But, it's all, and then, because I care about, it's dangerous work. These people they're out there doing this stuff, but it's the right thing. And there's great journalists doing risky stuff because that's what we do in America. And you're sitting back and you're saying, hey, maybe these activists or maybe whatever will handle it. Let's see what happens. Maybe they'll. It's bullshit.
And would you want me to add to all that?
Yeah. And Sasha?
I have to pee.
Sasha has to pee.
You get so mad.
Do you guys want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, our podcast. Go ahead,
Yes,
Sasha.
our podcast is called Two in the Bush, and you can watch it on YouTube, and please like and subscribe on Spotify and iTunes.
And you could catch Sasha doing stand-up. Do you do stand-up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Any
not
dates
recently.
coming up?
No, I don't know how to. I'm just getting
We
hit
want
up
to
for
perform. Where do you
virtual.
perform? Are you
Tonight,
unaware
the
there's a
comedy-
goddamn...
Yeah, that's the
Comedy
whole
Store
Amsterdam
tonight,
thing.
baby.
Jesus, I know,
You
behind
know,
a glass.
Our podcast is all the reality, and we don't just sit, because Sasha is genuinely not a political person, but she hears Michael Cohen call me, who's a Trump lawyer, and she's like, "Who is that? Is that your friend? You have the worst relationship." He was right as he got out of prison. He called. He's like, "Tom, do your impression of Michael Cohen," and I phone call.
Tom, you have to stop tweeting about me. Every time you tweet about me, it ruins my life. Okay, he's like, call me in a month, all right? Okay, buddy,
You
sounds
got
good.
thrown in the hole. Trump saw your tweet, and he had Bill Barr throw me in the hole. And I go, for 2 weeks, I was on my way out of prison. I go, you know what's good? Is that'll make you book better.
They throw him in the hole, and
Wait,
you're
Trump
like,
hasn't
well,
blocked you?
I'm
surprised.
Trump he follows me.
Oh, wow.
He follows me. If you read the New York Times, you got to read this stuff. And he follows me. And when I knew, as Michael Cohen was coming out of prison, I just wanted to see what would happen. I tweeted, Michael Cohen's coming out, and his new book is fucking awesome about Trump specifically. And what happened is Trump saw that and had him turned back around to prison, which is totally illegal, and put in the hole. And so then Michael Cohen's like, God damn it, don't tweet at Trump. And I said, I'm a citizen.
Oh my God.
How is it that
he's also acting like you're the reason that Trump
That's
died.
exactly what he's
you would have
acting
seen
like.
it from a million other people.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the funniest part. And he's like, I go, listen, why are you, wait a minute, you were his lawyer for 10 years. I'm a citizen. You're blaming me. You're the asshole. He goes, I don't want to.
You're putting a book out about the guy and you want to hide it from him?
And then I go like this. He goes, just every time. First I met you, I took nice enough to take a selfie. Then this, I go, wait a minute.
Nice enough to take a selfie?
You've
Who
been
is this
making
guy?
sure I had a cell phone to call you the whole time you've been in prison. Anthony, every time, because we've been having a cell phone. Normal people, you can't call them in prison. You can't share documents. Because, I said, because he's trying to get a lighter sentence. So I've been sharing with the New York State Attorney General and somebody in Congress. And I said, if you didn't want me to talk, if you didn't care why didn't you have Anthony give me your new cell phone when they caught you with the old one? And he goes, to Anthony Scaramucci. I go, that's another thing. There are 3 Anthonys communicating between you and I in prison, giving us cell phones between each other. That shows me, he goes, well, I just think you're a nice guy and I like to hear what's going on. But we're sharing documents from prison to outside. That's illegal. I'm trying to get...
I told him they're like 2 girls at a sleepover. They keep
Anyway,
getting in
I'm
fights and then
helping
becoming
you,
back friends
too.
again.
And he's like, okay, that's right. Listen, all right, call me on the 20th of June. All right, man, I love you because I got a lot to tell you. And because 20th of June, his probation was up. Then they called him in, and he was just about to do a TV interview, and he gets called in. We need to check your ankle bracelet. And then they presented this thing where we want to redo your whole agreement on the outside. Your friends cannot tweet about you. You can't write a book. He's like, it's already done. And they're like, what? Okay, your friends cannot tweet about you, which is, how can
anyone control that? Yeah.
And then they throw back in just because he had a bad attitude. They said, the judge just got to back out. But how insane.
That's crazy.
Okay, but, he's been very, but the fact that me, a private citizen, can get to Donald Trump's personal lawyer, his fixer of 10 years, I can walk up to him and say, you're going to flip on the president, or I'm going to beat the shit out of you every day. I'm not leaving this hotel. No, I mean, worse to that effect.
Mm-hmm. And that happened.
And it happened. Well, It happened. He said, the exact words I said he needed to say, and went on TV and said, Michael Cohen's going to say this. I went ahead of the time when he did it by a week, but he ended up doing that because it's the right thing. He needed to be a patriot, just like Joe Rogan, and then he did it. And Trump was furious, and then he testified in front of Congress because Michael Cohen stepped up, and now it's time everybody else does.
I think they are, one by one. It's happening.
Yes.
Most people have. Maybe some people haven't.
Scaramucci, I got
Most
to do
people
it.
have stepped
Everybody
it up.
that worked at the group of people under Trump. Yeah, most people have.
Most people have. And I think that's
And
something.
more coming. We got some
And
big
more
surprises.
coming.
We got some big shit going down.
Last thing before you guys go,
Yeah.
do you need help with anything? Or are you guys good?
Sasha,
Do you need help with
listen,
Do you want me to fix anything in your lives? I can
who's
help
our,
you, Tom.
Who's our
Oh.
Harley, our producer, is so...
He's asking in general because remember the podcast is about like unlicensed therapy.
I could help with your podcast too, but I could also help if you
Really, could you help? You
Yeah, if
you
you
don't
have
have a
any issues,
license.
I could help you. I'm really
No,
smart.
you helped us.
Okay.
We got to scream at you for quite a while. Listen, is Harley, you know Harley?
No.
She's our producer. She's
Okay.
so nice. She said, do this. Now I realize, did we really do it?
We did something today.
Yeah.
I don't know
it was
what
good
we
for
did.
me. It was good for me. They recommended your podcast.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah. Oh, okay. I know.
Yeah,
Harley
she's
is.
very
Yes.
nice.
Yes, Harley's.
But I
a girl.
wonder if she's going to be upset with the way I did it.
Well, honest to God, I'm not out here to do anything you don't want to do. So if there's anything,
No, it's
I
great.
could send it to.
I've enjoyed it.
I know.
Don't
but
do that.
I'm
Play
just saying.
this. No,
I'm just
she
saying.
has no say. No, don't
Yeah.
be. This is good. It's been good by me. I like it, but I wonder,
I like it.
was it funny? No, let's do it.
There were funny moments.
There were a lot of
There
funny
was some
moments.
extreme. It was a little scattered, but overall, I think anyone listening is gonna enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
This hour and a half of whatever it was.
Sure as hell ain't
right?
boring.
Did you enjoy it, Marco?
2 hours. Heck yeah.
Did you enjoy
The
it?
camera?
Is there anything you want to say or ask?
Just a quick one. I'm a fellow Iowan.
Oh, are you where? Where from in Iowa?
Madrid. It's in between Des Moines and Ames.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Not sure if you're aware.
Oh, yeah.
Small town, one stoplight.
Yeah.
So I was at the Rose Bowl a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And you were on the field. They interviewed you. You were on the jumbotron.
Yeah.
The Hawkeyes are slated to play Maryland September 5th. Do you think that'll even happen because COVID's going through these baseball teams?
I saw the Rutgers football team had a bunch of players get COVID yesterday. Rutgers, shockingly, is in the Big Ten now. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I don't know. That's a really good question. First of all, we have to talk about that Rose Bowl. Last time I was in the Rose Bowl, when I was in the Rose Bowl, it's a big deal. The Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl's huge. Yeah.
Well, it's really huge for Iowa because we're very loyal people, and we come out, we show up. And we were in the Rose Bowl, we were playing Stanford. And they wanted the two people that represented their schools the most to come down on the field and say something about the school and be on the jumbotron there and Condoleezza Rice was the person for Stanford.
Your favorite.
Well, they love her there. She's very, and she gave an eloquent soliloquy about and then I was on the other side of the field, and as soon as there was a break in the action, I was going to say something, and they scored, and then they scored again, and I was standing there. Everybody was aware I was standing, and the lady's like from Fox, like, don't. You're not going to leave her. You go. There'll be a break. Surely they're not going to score again, and I think they scored 35 straight points, and
Wow.
it was up. But I said something that's pretty, it was. The lady with the mic was like, "I'm so sorry." I go, don't be sorry. I am not going anywhere because there's so many friends. We're Hawkeye fans. And if it hadn't been this awful, it might have been worse. It would have been worse, but it was over.
I think you were the highlight of the Rose
Yes.
Bowl for Iowa fans.
Yeah.
It was that bad. I mean, they killed us right off the get-go.
They killed us. What was the running back? The
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey. He ran right by me twice. That's like he was. Oh, and I talked to the team before the game. Thank God. But it was I said something like, "We got it right where we want them, Hawkeyes." Like I had no voice, and they used that. And then I went up the stands and sat with everybody, and then a lot of the old players, and we had fun. Like it was fun.
Still a Rose Bowl, still a football game.
But no, the Stanford people left because they had such a victory. They don't care. The Hawkeyes were hammered, and all the old players and my old high school coach and people. It was so ridiculous. It was, and I sit there and it's just,
It became laughable by the
it
end of
was,
the game.
right?
We finally get to the Rose Bowl, and we're just waiting because
Yeah.
it's hard to get in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, really
Get
hard.
there. And then just the first
Pummel.
quarter and a half,
Yeah.
we're down like 28 points. Or
Yeah,
something.
we were down by 28.
I'm a Padres fan, I get it.
35-7. No, well, oh my God. And I said, okay, call these friends over. Now it's let's wait 1 second, see what happens here. Shoo. Okay, well, let's wait till Iowa. Then they turn over, they run back to zero. Turn over, I mean, it's
There
crazy.
was a pick six. There was a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
A punt return for a touchdown.
It was crazy.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah.
And Tom's probably waiting over there like.
Yeah, she's like,
"Oh,
okay, I
score."
just come back for you. She goes, please don't. I go, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, my word.
I'm watching the
It was
But
great.
it made halftime fun because
Yeah.
what were we going to do during halftime?
That's true. And I wasn't going to, and my buddy was the president of Fox Sports, who worked on the Best in Sports show, period. He's one of my segment producers. Now he's the president. And he was texting me. He's like, hey, buddy. I'm like, you got to be. I am so happy. It is so bad. And the young lady that was like, oh, that guy's like, and I kept looking at the stands of the Iowa people. People came out to enjoy themselves. That wasn't like.
Yeah. And especially once you know the game's over,
Yeah.
might as well just enjoy yourself.
It was.
I mean, there's a saying in Iowa: "Win or lose, we still lose."
Yeah, that's true. And the way where the pick six, the punt return, the game. I mean, it was they were so fantastic the ways, and it was in the Rose Bowl. We were losing. We've had some Rose Bowl experiences that have not been. Back in the 50s, we had some great Rose Bowl. Yeah.
1985 was the last one, right?
Oh yeah.
I think so.
But in the 50s, we won some.
Yeah. That's what I mean. We were so glad to get there.
Yeah.
And it turned over so quick.
Oh my God, it was so fun. They take culinary spice, so elegant, all the rich. The doctors that saved my life at UCLA are all Stanford people. They're all there for this. And they have that. They all have that jumbo screen. They're so funny. And they all came over after this with the stands. They think it's the funniest shit.
I'm gonna have to rewatch a lot of things after this podcast.
He came over. They think it's hilarious. They said, "Well, we can't get on the jumbo. We save lives. You can't get on the jumbotron. It's the funniest."
Well, Sasha, Tom.
Oh, so funny.
Thank you guys for coming in. I admire you both for doing this. It takes a lot of courage to sit
Not
here.
Not really.
Well, it does to me. I think you're being modest and humble, but I think you're a good guy. You're a funny guy.
I am.
I like
Sasha's
your thoughts
great,
on
too.
the world.
Okay.
Sasha's great.
Jesus
you're both
Christ.
great.
Thank you.
God bless you guys, and God bless the United States of America. See you guys next week.
Peace out, man.
You're listening to
Unlicensed
Unlicensed Therapy with Ari Mannis.
Okay, that was the episode with Tom Arnold. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It was longer than normal because, what can I say? Tom got going. We kept it rolling. We kept it recording. I had a lot of questions. If you are a devout unlicensed therapy listener, please leave a 5-star review for me on iTunes. Comment below on the YouTube video, thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, all the places, that kind of thing. Really helps me and the podcast out, trying to get it going here. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming along with me on my journey. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.